So one of the officers in the Brookland Civic Association, and that little voice there saying recording in progress reminds me that we will be recording this session, and ultimately we'll put it up on our website. So if you have a problem with being recorded, now would probably be a good time to duck out of the meeting. We are recording. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Tonight's meeting is primarily devoted to, I guess what I would call a virtual meet and greet of the ANC candidates, the ones that are running in our advisory neighborhood commission, which is ANC 5B. So we're going to get to that in a minute. But before we do, we're going to start the meeting here with a couple of speakers. First up will be Melissa Littlepage from Councilmember Parker's office, with a couple of announcements from that office. And then we'll hear from a woman by the name of Rebecca Katz, who is representing and is founder and executive director, actually, of an organization called Justice Access. And she's here to tell us about Justice Access and the important work that they're doing on behalf of the city. So let's go ahead and start with Melissa, if you would.
Thanks, Caroline, and hello, Brookland neighbors. My name is Melissa Littlepage. I'm the communications director for your Ward 5 Councilmember Zachary Parker. I have a very brief couple updates for you. The first is that we are currently in Ward 5 week. If you get the council members newsletter, you've seen all about it, but we have a number of events this week, and tomorrow at 10 a.m. we have an event in Brookland at Cool Coffee, 3901 12th Street Northeast. We have coffee with the council member, so just want to flag that for you all. And on Sunday is Ward 5 Day, and that will be at Turkey Thicket from 12 to 5. There is going to be something for everyone. The Department of Parks and Recreation is an official sponsor this year, so it's going to be even bigger and better than ever. You can check out more information about all of that at ward5.us/ward5day, and I'll drop that link in the chat when I'm done speaking. And then the other update we just want to give you is today was a robust legislative meeting. The council returned from recess today and a lot happened. Most notably, the council voted to dissolve the Committee on Recreations, Libraries, and Youth Affairs, chaired by Councilmember Trayon White, following the recent federal charges against Councilmember White. So the council voted to dissolve that committee and created two new subcommittees, one of which will be chaired by Councilmember Parker. And that committee that Councilmember Parker will chair is the Subcommittee on Libraries and Youth Affairs. That committee will have oversight of DC Public Library, as well as the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services, Serve DC, and a number of other agencies. Councilmember Parker will be focused particularly on the more than 90% recidivism rate at DYRS, finding out how we can better support our youth, especially with high crime rates. So that's the big news legislatively from our office. If you have questions about any of that and what that will mean, it'll be a busy fall, but you can reach out to me. I will drop some links and my email address in the chat. And again, thank you, Caroline, for giving me just a couple minutes at the top of tonight's meeting.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. And that's exciting news about the council member picking up some new chairmanship responsibilities. It's great. Okay, next up, Rebecca Katz. I already said just a few words about Justice Access. So Rebecca, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us more?
Great, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Katz. I am as Caroline said, the founder and executive director of Justice Access. And I wanted just to share with you tonight a little bit about what Justice Access is and what Justice Access does, so that we can be of assistance either to you or to your neighbors in the neighborhood. So I'm going to share my screen so that I can show you here we go. Sorry. I should have gotten the correct page open in advance. Hold on one second. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I really do know how to use my computer. I'm so sorry. So Justice Access is a law library, and it is a law library specifically for members of the public, so people who don't have legal training. Our goal is to help our patrons find legal information so that you can solve problems on your own, or so that you're better prepared if you do need to talk to a lawyer. So we're really about empowerment and meaningful access to information. Because legal information can be hard to find, it can be confusing. We have a lot of traditional law libraries in DC, but they can be hard to access. And a big problem that keeps people from accessing free legal services is when people don't know that the problem they have is related to the law. So one of the ways that we help with that barrier in particular is we go out into the community and we bring our services to you. So right now we are at 2 public libraries once a month, but we're looking to expand that. So if you think we should come to, I don't actually know what the closest library branch is to Brookland, but if you think that we should come to your library, let us know. We can reach out to the manager at the correct branch. We also do most of our service by video chat so that you can be at home or at your office or in a study room in the public library, and you can be face to face with our librarians without having to interrupt your schedule to schlep somewhere, to go somewhere during the workday. And because it's video chat, it feels a little bit more human than like when you're doing a chat, online typing. You aren't sure if that's a person or a bot. We also help our neighbors who have been incarcerated. We help them by mail. And we also are happy to come and talk to groups either like this, or if you say are in a large apartment building and you want us to come and like set up in the lobby for an evening and talk to people as they come by. That's by invitation. We're happy to do that as well. And then our contact information is here on the slide, but then I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see everyone again. And I understand that there is an opportunity for questions. I don't know if that's going to be now or later.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
Now is the time for that. Thank you very much. By the way, someone pointed out in the chat that the closest library to Brookland is the Woodridge Library on Rhode Island Avenue, and actually the thing in the chat came in the form of a request: come to the Woodridge Library. So not just a pointing out a fact, but making an invitation to you, which would be great.
Okay, I'm going to add that to my to-do list as soon as we're done here.
Good. two quick questions from me. One is there a fee or a charge associated with your services?
No, and that's a really good question. I should have mentioned so first of all, we provide all of our services for free. We don't check income. We don't check residency. We don't ask for your name. Our video chat platform does, require you to enter a name, but we don't require it to be your name. We don't require any contact information for you, so it can be completely not just confidential, but anonymous. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So we also do accept donations, and that's, on our website, which is justiceaccess.org.
And if people want to reach out and contact you, what's the best way to do that?
So email is best for me. It's info@justiceaccess.org.
Okay. And does anyone else have a question? And if you do, please raise your hand and we'll call on you.
Times as much as 6 times.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming. And of course, if you're interested in the candidates running for ANC 5B, then stick around, but you're free to leave as well.
Great, thank
totally
you.
Up to you.
Thank you so much. It was good meeting everyone.
Good meeting you too. All right, now let's move on to the I guess the guts of the meeting, if you will. The candidates for ANC 5B. You want to put the map up? Yes. Okay. I want to start. I'm going to start with a few, hopefully brief words, kind of an ANC 101 for the uninitiated here. I doubt there are many of you among us, but for the few that probably are, just a few words of information about advisory neighborhood commissioners, sometimes referred to as our quote unquote hyper-local representatives. So they serve the neighborhood in a variety of ways. Probably most significantly is when they weigh in with various decision makers, whether it's the zoning commission or the ABRA board or council members. They weigh in with decision makers on a variety of neighborhood, hyper-local, and sometimes even on citywide issues. The idea behind this kind of very local government came from and it's a unique feature of DC's Home Rule Act, Home Rule Charter. The commissioners are elected every 2 years to serve 2-year terms, and they serve in a volunteer capacity. That is, they're unpaid for what they do. There are a total of something like 345 ANC commissioners across the city. Each one represents what's called a single member district, or SMD, single member district. And each single member district has, give or take, 2,000 residents. So each commissioner represents approximately that many residents. Now there, you see the map on the screen there. Most of Brookland is in ANC 5B. And ANC 5B consists of 7 SMDs. You'll see all 7 of them there. And 7 voting commissioners. So this is a map of ANC 5B, and you'll see it stretches pretty far. From the west, it stretches along the railroad tracks, the metro tracks there to the west. Headed north, it goes up, it jigs and jags there. I won't go through every jig and jag, but it goes up as far north as Allison, and then turns east, hairpin turn, well, no, a strong right turn onto Eastern Avenue, and then south along Rhode Island Avenue back to the tracks, right about where the underpass there, the one that always floods, there at the tracks. So those are essentially the boundaries of ANC 5B and the 7 single-member districts. The 7 single-member district commissioners, they meet regularly in meetings that are open to the public. And at those meetings, they discuss, they vote on, and they pass resolutions on issues related to such things as zoning and development, bike lanes and road safety in general, liquor and cannabis licenses, and a whole host of other issues, all of which can play a pretty important role in the quality of life of our neighborhoods and also our city at large. And if you want more information about the ANCs, or you're not certain about which SMD you live in, you can go to anc.dc.gov. And thank you, Jingwen. I noticed that you put that in the chat. anc.dc.gov. Okay, so let's meet our ANC candidates. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take them in order, starting with ANC 5B01. I'm going to ask each one to introduce themselves, say a few words, no more than 3 minutes, please, if you possibly can, because we've got a number of them here tonight, and about a little bit about what you hope to accomplish in the next term of office, basically 2025 and 2026. For those of you on the call, I ask you please hold your questions until the end, until after all the candidates have spoken, and then we'll take them at that time. So we'll start with Ed Borrego. And the map goes up to ANC. He's the current incumbent for ANC 5B01, and he's running unopposed. And here's a map of that single member district. Ed, please take it away.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the invitation here tonight with the Brookland Neighborhood Civic Association. So I am Edward Borrego, the current commissioner for 5B01. And I am running again. My main priority still remains safer streets. So right now, 2 major projects have kicked off, South Dakota Avenue Safety Corridor, as well as a protected bike lane project on Taylor Street Northeast. There's also going to be work that potentially is going to happen continuing on Eastern, as well as other areas. Those are all immediately adjacent to 5B01, but they also are impactful to the broader area. And I really feel there is still more that needs to be done. So, on my campaign website, which I'll drop a link in the chat in a moment, I decided to put up basically the exact same website I had 2 years ago. And all I've added is, here's what I've done since. So you can go on there and you compare, this is what I promised I would do 2 years ago. Here's what I've actually done. And I want people to see and hopefully appreciate the progress that's been made. But, I'm very, when I ran 2 years ago, I was very, one of the things that pushed me to run was the significant wrecks and the 2 deaths that had happened in 2021 regarding Armando Martinez Ramos and Allison Hart. And unfortunately, traffic deaths continue to occur. Most recently, there was one on Eastern near Randolph, which is right in 5B01, on August 28th, that the Vision Zero team is currently investigating, and we're waiting for the results of that investigation to determine what to do next. So that's the main reason why I'm running. Other key thing that I tried to push for was transparency and communication, and I feel that I've done that in 5B. I've started a newsletter that went from 0 to now has over 120 subscribers. Every single action I have taken as a commissioner is on my website. You can see everything, every resolution that I have proposed. You can see the actions that I have taken. You can see you can read the testimony that I have submitted. You can look at the single member letters that I have signed. It is all there for everyone to look up, and I walk through the issues and the priorities that I have for 5B01. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I hope to do more of with Commission 5B. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Let's go to 5B02 next. This is the map of the SMD. The current incumbent is Nandini Sen, and she is running unopposed. Nandini?
Thank you very much, Caroline. I am Nandini Sen. I'm currently the commissioner for 5B02 and the secretary for ANC 5B, and I'm running again. I wanted to introduce myself or reintroduce myself. Who and what we are today is the sum of our life experiences, and our life experiences in turn are influenced by people, places, circumstances, and events. My earliest influences were my parents. My dad was a social activist and my mother was an educator. I came to this country, I'm an immigrant. I came here in 1995, and at this point I've lived here longer than I had in my native country. My biggest influencers today are my wife, who also happens to be an immigrant from Jamaica, and our 2 little girls. I like to share this. I feel thrilled about this commonality with our next president of the country. We are your local Indian, Jamaican, American family. 2 years back, I decided to run for commissioner, motivated by 2 events. One was, and Commissioner Borrego mentioned this as well, the tragic death of 5-year-old Allison Hart. And the other was a particularly impactful ANC 5B public meeting. I trust that many of you know which meeting this was. The word neighbor is quite literally in the name of this role and position. I hold myself to Mr. Rogers' ideal for what it is to be a good neighbor. Our community thrives on cooperation and mutual respect, and I strongly believe that every candidate on this call are mission-driven and bring their best selves and capabilities to this role. As a commissioner, I will bring light to our plight and never heat. My platform is safety, and safety is not a linear or a singular issue. And under that umbrella, I'd like to talk about 3 areas. First and foremost is street safety. On the infrastructure side, we need to look at traffic and street design that is appropriate for the needs of today and tomorrow. And that may manifest in changes like traffic flow patterns or daylighting certain intersections. But that is not all, that is only half of the battle. The other part is enforcement, which I think is critical. We have to, as a city, we have to figure out a way to hold accountable those people who violate traffic laws, whether it be parking illegally, speeding, running red lights, and striking that right balance between new infrastructure improvements and enforcement is key. I am eager to see the STEER Act take effect on October 1st. The second is crime prevention. I don't have to tell any of you here that safety and crime are interconnected. To reduce crime, we need strong community bonds and effective deterrence. Placemaking, like increased street lighting in high crime areas, can help create safer spaces. Areas around the Dwight Mosley Park and Fort Bunker Hill are examples of spaces where I am asking the city to look at in the spirit of placemaking. Also recently, I've been in touch with the Office of Attorney General. I am educating myself about and talking about with them about the resources that they offer. I want to find ways to better utilize them, and I hope to have somebody from that office join us in one of our public meetings soon.
Ms. Sen, can you please wrap up in 30 seconds?
Sorry. Okay. And the third is development. And what I wanted to say about that is we need to be, we need to find the balance between creating between the existing character of our neighborhood and also allow for a vitalized 12th Street. As a parent, I'm raising my children in this neighborhood. I'm deeply invested in it. I know, like our Vice President Harris says, we have more in common, and I am committed to finding the ways to work together to strengthen our community. Thank you for giving us the time and space to do this, and I thank everybody else for their time.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. 5B03 next. Here's the map. There's one person running for this seat. The current incumbent, who is Cyril Crocker, is stepping down from the seat. The person running is Jingwen Sun. Jingwen, Mr. Sun, would you please say a few words?
Thank you, Caroline, for having me here. First, happy Hispanic Heritage Month for those who celebrate, and happy Mid-Autumn Festival that is today for those who celebrate. And it's iconic and fitting in a way that Mid-Autumn Festival symbolizes the unity of the community, family and community. And today we're here together for this meeting. So thank you everyone for coming here. I'm Jingwen Sun. I am a first-generation immigrant. I came here in 2010, and I went to the George Washington University for undergrad and UMD for grad school at their business school. And I'm also co-founder and director of operations of Lighthouse DC. It is a local homeless services nonprofit. Our warehouse is located on Taylor Street, also in Ward 5. Our office is in Ward 2. And I just moved here about a year and a half ago. I'm right on the edge of 5B03 on Ebart Street. And though I'm running unopposed, I want to run this campaign as a quote-unquote real campaign. And the reason for that is we want to get the word out. I don't want to be the one who people vote on because I'm the only one on the ballot. I want people to know who I am, who I represent, because at the end of the day, if I become the ANC commissioner, I'm here to represent you. And my issues or my priorities are road safety and safety for all. It's not only about bikers, pedestrians, but also drivers. We need more bike lanes. Pedestrians need to be safer crossing the road, and drivers don't need to hesitate when they don't have a stop sign while the other side has a stop sign. So many times when I'm driving, there's no stop sign. I look around, a driver just speeds through from the opposite direction. Right, we've all experienced that. And housing, we need more affordable housing. I was at a WMATA meeting 2 weeks ago and saw a lot of you. So thank you for also being there, and good to see you again. Housing is a big priority of mine, given my background in affordable housing and homeless services. And third is transparency and how information is spread and collected. And that goes back to my point of running this campaign, so people know who I am and who I represent, what I represent. That being said, since I'm running a post, I'm not gonna take too much of your time. I will drop the information in the chat, and I do have a community cleanup walkthrough to sending 311 requests this upcoming Saturday. In the chat, you will see my website, you will see my social media handles. If you click into any of those, you will find the event. So I would love for you to join. It will be at the intersection of 12th and Rhode Island in front of the Brookland Sun at 10:30 this coming Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let me go back to Ms. Sen. I invite you, if you care to put your contact information in the chat, that way people can get in touch with you. Moving on to 5B04. Map is here. There are two people running for 5B04. Ra Amin is the incumbent. He's being challenged by Racine Woodland. Ms. Woodland, I don't believe is here. And so, Mr. Amin, the floor is yours.
Hey, good afternoon. Good evening, BNCA. I really don't feel like I need to do much of an introduction at the BNCA because I think most of you here actually know me, have worked with me on different Brookland 5B04 projects, concerns. And so I am your current ANC commissioner here, and I am running again. This will be my fourth term as your ANC commissioner, and that would make me the longest serving commissioner in 5B at this time, but also the longest serving consistent commissioner in 5B04. So I'm going to back up a little bit, Caroline, because into the community, because this is something I want to make clear, because this is a question that we get all the time. The boundaries of 5B04. So on the south side, we are flanked at Rhode Island Avenue from the 800 block to the all the way up into the 1200 block. Then we do this really weird boot shape. We come right down Evart Street, back over to 12th Street. So actually the Walking to Brooklyn sign is in 5B04. We take the east, that is the west side of 5B04, and west side of 12th Street. We go all the way up to Otis. We come down Otis on the, let me think about that. We come down Otis here on the south side of Otis, down, loops us into Brooklyn Green and part of WMATA. And then we do this really, as Caroline said, zigzag thing. And we're flanked on the other side. Our last boundary will be the train tracks. So there you have it. And you can see us right here. This is 5B04. And I think that's important because we are probably the most active SMD at this time. We have the most projects on the table. We have the most things on the agenda. And I actually have the institutional knowledge and the most experience at moving us forward. Everything that we started out to do over the last couple of years, and especially the last 2 years that I've been your commissioner, we have hit the mark. We have done everything and together. And I've also done all of that together with the assistance and the partnership of the BNCA. And that's something also that I'm very proud of because prior to me being the ANC commissioner, the partnership with the BNCA as well as other parts of the community were not that strong. And as we know, community is our safety. So one of the things that I would be most proud of at this time is that the coalitions and the partnerships that we built. And that means that we're all getting the same information around the same time from the same people. And that was not happening before. I ushered us through our first PUD with the leadership of your former president, Dan, and your current president, Caroline, with some residents. And 5B04, we're probably stepping into our second PUD and probably even our third PUD at this time. And Caroline's looking at me, so I'm probably almost at time. Is that right? Right, Caroline?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
10 more seconds.
All right, so let me just say this. If you need to follow up with me, most of you know that I'm at the farmer's market almost every single Saturday. Most of you also know that I'm one of the people that founded and built the farmer's market up into what it is today. And you can still find me there, and you'll be able to find me there in the future, tabling with other partners from the government, talking to you, bringing the people in that you want to know to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is 5B05. Here we go, another map. Now there are two people running for this seat. The former incumbent has moved away out of the neighborhood. So there are now two people running for an open seat, John Feely and Monica Martinez Lopez. And just flipping a coin in my head, why don't we start with Ms. Lopez? She's still here?
Yes, hi. Hi, thank
Hi.
you, Caroline. Hi. Hi, thank you so much for the space. I'll try to be as brief as I can. Hi, so I have lived in the neighborhood since 2019. And upon moving here, I really felt a lot of the strength of, you know, the community that a lot of other agencies have mentioned here. This is definitely something that in my mind has, in my heart has led me to want to give back to this neighborhood. I love it so much. I live here with my husband and we see ourselves being here for, you know, many years to come. I have three priorities in my campaign. Number one, and I think this is really shared amongst our 5B commission, is safer streets. Just like other agencies have said, the deaths in 2021, when we were really in the midst of the pandemic and, you know, getting outside, exercising, using bike was the form of many people prefer to move around. The deaths of Ali Hart and of Armando Martinez Ramos, those were devastating. Absolutely devastating. And I feel that as someone, and as many people here who use our streets, who walk to the metro station, who walk to the bus stops, who bike around, who go on walks, with you know, friends and family members, we can see that something needs to be done, more needs to be done to address that safety issue. Number two, I think that also, like Jingwen said, affordability in the city, it's a big issue. It's not just to our neighborhood, it really is a citywide issue. And I do think, I do believe that, you know, we have opportunities to keep having more housing come into our neighborhood, specifically closer to the metro, things that hopefully, if our authorities do right, we will not need to have that much parking for, because people will prioritize using the mass transit options that are available. And that will also have, and that will be complemented obviously with having affordable housing here in our neighborhood and increasing it in the city. And number three, communication, which I've heard from, you know, from some of you, communication / engagement with the neighbors, with the residents, specifically of SMD 5B05. I understand that there have been some concerns, maybe these are also across the whole 5B, of just trying to get more the word out and maybe using other means of communication besides the monthly meetings online. So I think that civic engagement, civic participation all starts with having the information at hand that you need and just being aware of what is happening. And that also goes, you know, as someone whose first language is not English, I understand that also it can be a little bit intimidating to not have that information, you know, available, whether it's in a different language or available in sign language, even if there are neighbors who feel excluded because of lack of accommodations in that regard. So I would love to work on those three priorities. And I am very much looking forward to speaking to many of you, especially those of you who live in 5B05 in the upcoming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Mr. Feely? Hold on a minute, you're on mute. They're asked to unmute.
Yeah, like Ms. Martinez, I too love 5B05. It is a great neighborhood to live in. And I am running. I have been a commissioner in 5B05 and 5A too, over on 4 different 2-year runs. And I feel the need to get back in to the ANC position because of the things that we're facing in 5B05. When Ra was just talking about how we might be coming into a new PUD, I believe that's a reference to development at our metro site. And I have been very involved previously in the development of the comprehensive plan. I've seen what has been done with map amendments. And I feel that in a case like this, where Metro, which is a public-private partnership, and the community need to have a lot of give and take, and that somebody needs to be in the position of 5B05 who is going to stand up for current residents to shape what is going to happen at the metro station. I was concerned at the public meeting that Councilman Parker had recently with that there were quite a few people who said that they thought that the developers should be given the opportunity to do a map amendment and that the project should happen as quickly as possible. I think that project and other projects that are proposed for our neighborhood should have full community input. And people should have a lot to say about park space, about density, about what is happening with developments that come our way. We have looked recently at the Brookland Lanes development. And in that case, there was another opportunity there for the community to have a lot of input because of a historic property on that site. And I think the community should have been given more opportunity to confer on that whole project. The other thing that I think is very important and that I am running about is I think that regular scheduled meetings should happen in the single member district. And if I'm elected, I will have hybrid meetings where people can come to a location in 5B05 to meet in person, and that we will also have virtual meetings, an opportunity for people to participate virtually. I think that that's very important. I also think that if somebody's going to bring a resolution, if a commissioner is going to bring a resolution to the ANC, it should be something that was brought up at the single member district meeting, that it was voted on at the single member district meeting, and then brought to the commission as a whole. So once again, being open is another important part of what a commissioner needs to do.
30 more seconds, John.
Yeah. A lot is happening in 5B05. I admire the work that's been done on safe streets by the commission. And I think that in a place like 5B05, where development is a serious concern, there needs to be an approach that gives everybody an opportunity to have input. And thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Moving on to 5B06. There's the map. The incumbent here is Ms. Prita Piekara. And Ms. Piekara is running unopposed. Take it away, please.
Thank you, Ms. Petty. I apologize to everyone that I am not on video. I'm kind of bouncing in and out of work meetings as well. Since I'm running unopposed, I will try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. As Ms. Petty said, I am running for 5B06. This will be my third term. I am running largely because of what many of my colleagues have said. Street safety continues to be a high priority, as well as keeping our community safe and together. But I'd say another, and hearing lots of what came before, I think a bigger thing on my end as well is community as a whole. One of the pieces I'm hearing as we're talking about different SMDs, and it is true that every SMD obviously has its unique characteristics and projects that are going in between. But I would also argue that 5B as a whole is its own community and has its own characters. And I can tell you from talking to neighbors, many people don't know where the dividing line is between 5B06 and 5B02 or 5B03. What they do know is that they all frequent the same restaurants. They are all impacted by the developments. They all want to know what's happening with the school. And so while it is important to have local meetings in the individual SMDs, there should also, I believe, be a collective and holistic approach to how we communicate with each other. And I think that there are already so many silos that happen in our community that for me, it's really important that as much as we have opportunities for us to come together and to talk to each other, I think the better. And I think that what we've been doing in 5B, or at least attempting to do, and what I hope that we can continue to do and collaborate with each other, is something that I hope we can do. Our commission as a whole, I think in the last couple of years has been really strengthened. And this continues even across Rhode Island Ave. We've been collaborating a lot with the commission in 5C. Rhode Island Ave is a road that divides us, but obviously we have concern, impact by what happens with, for example, with the Walgreens closing on that side, or what happens with the Brentwood Manor closure. So there are things like that that I think, yes, we're different commissions, but we should also be keeping it together, working holistically as a community. And I hope that we, as a commission, can keep that going and keep working together. And as so many of you have seen from previous meetings years ago, our meetings were not always collaborative, but this last term they have been, and I really hope we can keep that going. So I will leave it there. Thank you very much, Ms. Fetty, for allowing the time and space for this.
Thank you, Ms. Piekara. And lastly, 5B07. Here's the map. The current incumbent, a woman by the name of Gail Brevard, is stepping down. And there are actually three candidates running for this seat. But tonight, only one of them has RSVP'd to be here, and that is Zahid Rathore. So, Mr. Rathore, you have the floor.
Okay, I've learned the mute button. Last, but maybe the best for last. I am not only am there's a three-way race in my SMD, I am dead last on the ballot. So what I learned in college is that's not great. So this means that forums like this are vitally important so people can become more informed and make that informed choice on spot 3. So thank you for listening and hanging tough here as this meeting comes to an end. I am a 22-year resident of Washington, D.C., moved here to go to grad school and have never left. In that time, I got 2 master's degrees and got married and had 2 children. And now it's time, as I become more mature and have gained more opinions, that I actually do something about my opinions. So this is my way of giving back and getting involved. As many of the other candidates have mentioned, we all have a passion for the community, and I certainly do. And that really blossomed when my 2 children were born. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. They both go to boroughs, and it's very, very important to me that I walk my children to school. It's not safe to do that. South Dakota it's dangerous. Even with the walkways and such, it's still very, very dangerous. So like many others said, pedestrian safety is a huge priority for me. But that also includes bikers, and it also includes drivers. So I take the construct of the commissioner very seriously, in that I have to represent the opinions of the community as a whole, and I will take that into account. But I'm sharing with you where I'm coming from, and my children are really my entire life. So I would love to do everything to keep them safe. We talked about road safety. Another big priority of mine is in 5B07, perhaps like the other SMDs, there are a lot of elderly folks living in our community. And someone talked about affordable housing. I agree with all of that. I also think it's very important that we enable the people that live here to stay here and to age in place, and to do that safely. So I'm new to all of this, so I got to figure out what that actually means. But I'm just telling you that that's important to me, because I value my neighbors, and they have every right to be here as much as I do, and as much as everyone else that's building to build new developments in here. That ties along with affordable housing. But we can't forget about the folks that have lived here for generations and not getting them to feel squeezed out. Lastly, another priority for me is the tree canopy. The tree canopy in Ward 5 is sad. If you drive up and down Rhode Island Avenue, it's almost a wasteland. With global climate change, it's real in my opinion, and we need more trees. In my, where I live, I've lost 3 trees on my just tiny little plot of land. That's a problem. And so we need to double down, triple down on planting. And so that may mean if we take out a median on Rhode Island Avenue, there should be trees in the middle of that median. So that's very, very important to me. We need more shade. As mentioned in my intro, this is a 3-way race. This is the only 3-way race in all of Ward 5. Somehow, luckily, 5B07 is the hot spot, and we're going to battle it out with the 2 other candidates. So I appreciate word of mouth. I appreciate donations. I'll put my website in there. I'm taking this seriously, and I need funds to get mailers out and signs, as my other candidates do. But this is a 3-way race. And that's all I really want to say. Thank you so much for hanging here at the late hour.
And thank you, and thanks to all the other candidates. Thank you all for coming. Let me just check one last time. Tasha Crawford, Chris Haynes, are you on the call? No. Okay. So now we have a little bit of time for questions. What I'd like to do is, if you have a question, please raise your hand, as opposed to using the chat. If you wouldn't mind raising your hand, and I will try to call on you in the order that I see the hands. And when you ask your question, please, don't make it a lengthy statement, make it a question, and also make it a question that is directed to 1, 2 at the most of the candidates, so that we're not here all night, with 7 candidates answering the same question over and over again. So the first hand I see is, it's either Amanda or Dan. Rick Naylor.
Thanks. Yeah. Hi, Caroline. This is actually Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hey. This question is for Nandini, I believe, the candidate running for 5B02. I see the map of your area includes a lot of the institutional land in Brookland, the former Howard Divinity campus and the Franciscan Monastery, as well as Fort Bunker Hill, and I'm going to blank on the name on the school, but the school grounds there. But what is your view on development proposals with the Divinity campus or potentially the Franciscan Monastery? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on whether you would support redevelopment of those properties or not. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I do meet with Howard Divinity School every month, once a month. And I shared in my most recent newsletter in September that up until, I actually had a meeting the same day I wrote it, that they keep telling me that there are no planned developments yet. They haven't finalized anything. I will also tell you that CM Parker's office is working directly with them on the development that is going to, whatever the development is going to happen. The fact that development is going to happen is a fact, and it was decided before I took office. But what my goal is to be engaged with them in a way, and with the community in a way that we can shape the kind of development that they are going to do. And to me, that's the best outcome we can hope for. Thank you.
Okay, Rick Naylor.
Thank you. So I think everyone or many people have mentioned that how important it is to have community involvement. And, just looking at our national political scene, everyone can see how contentious it is. So I want to bring that back to the local level. And I know Prita mentioned that things have been a lot better between the commissioners lately, but I watched a ANC meeting back in June, which was extraordinarily disturbing. And, you know, while I know I'm supposed to direct this to an individual, you know, maybe just one or two people feel like speaking up. I just want to know what you as an individual commissioner will do to ensure that you treat other commissioners with respect and dignity and not screaming and accusations like I saw back in June.
Yeah, okay, before we go into that, Rick, could you please pick two of the candidates to direct that to?
Certainly.
Just pick.
My SMD Commissioner Nandini, and then also Ra Amin.
Thank you, Rick. You know, I don't know if you were here when I was speaking, but that's something I did mention, that I have brought light and not heat. It's not my style. And I talked about dignity and mutual respect. I want to mention that while part of what I wanted to say is, you know, I really love not just my SMD, but what is around my SMD. I want a revitalized 12th Street. I do go to Annie's Ace Hardware. I frequent other businesses that are not in my SMD. And the point I wanted to make is that we are an increasingly connected world, and we cannot. I don't believe that we serve our constituents best when we try to create that kind of situation where it feels like it's contentious and not cooperative. So I hope you will go back, and if you haven't participated in all the meetings, you will go back and see that from January 2023, how well every meeting has run, including we have also on camera, we have comments from our colleagues, Ms. Rivard, saying that this was one of the best experiences in her, and she had run previously many times. So it is my promise to bring light and not heat. I will continue to do that, and I will not engage in contentious behavior that's unbecoming of a leader.
Okay, Ra? You need to unmute, please. And then the last two questions will be the last two questions from Ann Anderson and Valencia Crawford.
Yeah, I think for the question, Rick, my response to you is that, and I think about this a lot. Respect is a two-way street, and you give respect to those people and those things that respect you. The ANC, by its nature, can be contentious, and one of the things that we do as commissioner, if you want to be popular, then the ANC is not for you. Our job is to represent the people that vote for us. And that's what I do. And a lot of times, because I'm in Brooklyn, I get comments from people that are outside of Brooklyn that want me to be a voice for them because they feel like it's not being voiced in 5B at this time. So I hope that helped you a little bit to understand where I come from as a commissioner. I stand on my record and everything that I've done here as your as the 5B04 commissioner. So, and I think that's a pretty brief answer for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Ann Anderson, who are you directing your question to?
Actually, Mr. Borrego. He was the first one who brought up street safety, and so I'll just stick with him, although I know several other people have also mentioned it. I'm actually interested in whether, and this is really sort of an open question, is like, what can we do at the ANC level about encouraging the to get the cars off the streets that have multiple thousands of dollars of unpaid tickets. It just really infuriates me, and I'm very much aware that, you know, people, that somebody just died recently who, or had been hit. She didn't get hurt. She didn't get killed, but she was hit by a car that had $19,000 worth of tickets, unpaid tickets in it. And so now I'm like, okay, is there something that we can do as a neighborhood to really ask for that full push to get those people off the street? So I'm asking
Mr.
Mr.
Borrego,
Borrego.
you're on.
Right. Excuse me. So I think that's a really good question. I know, for example, the commission in 2023 in May, we adopted a resolution talking about rerouting the money that was coming from automated traffic enforcement, because that's kind of, I feel, linked to this, right? So speed cameras, when people pay the fines, those should be going to initiate measures to either boost enforcement or to actually change the infrastructure. That got rerouted to the general fund. So now that brings in the question of, you know, what is that money getting used for? I think when it comes to the larger issue enforcement, right, the Advisory Neighborhood Commission ultimately is advisory. And what we need to do is we need to continue to raise the profile of this issue, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the mayor that's choosing how enforcement works with her agencies. And it's the council that sets the legislation and the legal framework for those. I'm cautiously optimistic as Monica mentioned, the STEER Act coming into effect, that giving the Attorney General in DC the ability to pursue violators civilly will help. But I think it's just going to continue having to be people voicing these concerns. I am open to the commission looking to pass additional resolutions, because at the very least, those get a response from agencies. But I do think it is a challenging thing. In the meantime, I look for communities as well as commissioners to do what we can to call for increased enforcement. I am aware that, for example, Bunker Hill Elementary, I believe, recently reached out, and so MPD has now started doing targeted enforcement at Taylor and 14th, where there's been a lot of issues. But those are, you know, they fix the issue for the little bit while the police are there, and because you just can't have police on every corner, it's challenging to sustain. So that's why I'm also very hopeful about infrastructure projects, because if you reconfigure the street, you can reduce the propensity of bad behavior. It never eliminates it. Like there is no silver bullet. There is no magic thing you can do where everyone's going to drive perfectly and all bicyclists are going to be, you know, magically perfect and everyone's going to well behave. But you can drive it down. You can configure it. Okay, you can configure it so that there won't be deaths. And there's a lot that we can do to shape that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, last question from Valencia Crawford. And who are you directing your question to?
I'm directing my question to, I didn't get the gentleman's name who stated that he was a firm believer to support our elderly and to make sure that they don't feel like they're pushed out of the community.
I think that was Zahid Rathore.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you have a specific question or just want him to comment on that?
I just wanted to thank him for that statement. My mother has been in this area since 1975. And the recent development that we've experienced with, and I've shared my concerns with the Civic Association. I've also shared our concerns with our ANC rep, our city councilman. And when I tell you, when you guys are on this call and you state your position and how you're going to be here for the community, we really need you to do that. I have not really been on this call as much as I had hoped to, because I'm constantly fighting for my mother's home, this overdevelopment, and lack of support from my DC officials. I have spent thousands of dollars of my retirement money to support my mother. So I'm on this call right now, and this will not be the last time I'll be on here. And I'm asking each and every one of you who are running for this office, whether you're compensated or not, do your job, support the people who make up this community, who have been standing in this community throughout all of the transitions, and not leave your elderly standing in the wind by themselves with the dysfunctionalism of the District of Columbia. I am a DC resident. I've been here all my life.
Okay.
Thank you.
You made your point and made it very well. And thank you for coming tonight. And
Thank
hope
you.
to see more of you in the future. For those of you who may still have questions, we've run out of time here, but I strongly urge you to reach out to the candidates or a candidate. They've all indicated that they would be more than happy to hear from you, talk to you, share concerns, etc. So I encourage you to follow up in that capacity. Just want to end the meeting tonight, thanking everyone once again, especially the candidates for putting yourselves out there. It's a tough road to hoe. You kind of open yourself up for criticism, but hopefully some kudos too. And we greatly appreciate it and wish you bon chance in your efforts, and maybe we'll see you around the bend. One last thing, just a plug for our next meeting in October. We have regular monthly meetings. Our October meeting will be on Tuesday, October 15th. It'll start at 7 p.m. Location to be determined on that. We're hoping to do it in person as opposed to Zoom. But the topic of the meeting is going to be Initiative 83, which many of you probably know is a ballot initiative that's going to be on the November ballot for up for a vote. Just in brief, it'll do two things. It'll change our current system of electing local candidates to a ranked choice voting system. And secondly, it'll also expand our current primary system of electing party candidates. It'll expand that to voters not registered with any particular party. And that is probably the extent of my knowledge on the subject. So don't ask me any questions. If you want more information, come to the October 15th meeting. It'll be a debate style, pros and cons. There, of course, are pros to the initiative and also cons to the initiative. We'll have representatives, principals who are representing both sides of the debate there. And then also opportunity for questions and comments. So the aim is to make it an educational experience for our Brookland voters, and hope to see you there. And with that, thank you very much. See you around the neighborhood.